Every day, we consume products, and they came from different types of market. But how do we classify it? Today, let's focus on monopolistic competition.
Good day, I'm Vivea, and today we're going to be discussing another topic under microeconomics, which is monopolistic competition. It may sound intimidating, but don't you worry because that's why we're here today. Let us dig deeper and uncover everything about monopolistic competition. Are you ready? Well, let's start. To begin, I have a question. Have you ever noticed that most of the menu items of fast food chains or restaurants are almost identical? Let's take for example this one, Burger 1 and Burger 2. At first, we may say that these are exactly the same products. Well, they're just both burgers, right? But if you look closely, you'll agree that they are actually different in terms of different factors such as size, taste, price, the way it's advertised, or its overall quality. Well, that basically sums up what a monopolistic competition is. But wait, we're not done yet. There are different market structures: perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and the monopolistic competition. Each of these have their own unique features and characteristics. And when we say monopolistic competition, from its name, it's not a monopoly where one company dominates the entire market. Nor is it a perfect competition where products are exactly identical. Instead, it's somewhere in between. As a result, monopolistic competition is simply a market structure wherein there's a huge number of sellers which offer similar yet differentiated products. To better understand it, let's dive into some of its key characteristics. The first one, it has many sellers. There are multiple firms competing in the market, which means consumers have lots of choices. Think of fast food restaurants, clothing brands, or even coffee shops. There's so many options, and it's all up to us which one to choose. But what's the deciding factor? Well, it points out to the second characteristic, which is product differentiation. Given that in this market, there are a lot of sellers, thus competitors, companies differentiate their products to attract specific types of customers. For example, one coffee brand might focus on being eco-friendly, while another emphasizes its unique flavors. Remember, in monopolistic competition, brand positioning and advertisement play such big roles, simply because they could be the deciding factor of the customers to buy their product. Next characteristic is it has low barriers to entry and exit, meaning it's somehow easy for new companies to enter the market or exit if they're not profitable. This keeps the market dynamic, with new players constantly trying to innovate. Maybe it's also the same reason why monopolistic competition is one of the markets that entrepreneurs usually enter and why there's a lot of business ventures that surprisingly pops out of nowhere. Next characteristic is it has some price control. Because of product differentiation, each company has some control over its prices, but not total control like a monopoly. If a company raises price too much, customers might switch to competitors, which leads to another characteristic, which is demand elasticity. Demand is highly elastic in this type of market, meaning it is very responsive and sensitive to price changes, as it is usual for customers to change from one brand to another based solely on price increases. Now, let us weigh its characteristics by exploring its pros and cons. For its advantages, firstly, it has little to no barriers to entry. As we have said earlier, it's relatively easy to enter and exit this type of market structure. Next is consumer choice. With multiple companies competing, consumers have the freedom to choose products that match their preferences, values, price points, and even from their needs and wants. Next, company decision-making power. Pricing strategy and marketing aspects are all up to the company themselves in order to build an edge to competitors. And now for its disadvantages. Firstly, higher costs for firms. Since firms spend on advertising and branding to differentiate themselves, it can drive up costs, which may affect product pricing as well. And lastly, for its disadvantage, misleading advertising or imperfect information for consumers. As companies are expected to differentiate their products, they may be focused on making their products appear as unique and better from its competitors, and even have the tendency to use false advertisement just to catch the attention of consumers. Let's look at some real-world examples to witness monopolistic competition in action. Firstly, fast food industry. In the fast food industry, there are countless chains like McDonald's, Jollibee, Burger King, and Popeyes. They offer similar products, but each one has its unique menu items, branding, and pricing strategy. Next, cosmetic brands. The cosmetics industry is another great example. Brands like Everbelena, Maybelline, and Careline. They all sell makeup, but they focus on different brand identities and target audiences to stand out. And lastly, apparel and clothing brands. From luxury fashion to streetwear, clothing brands like Zara, H&M, and Uniqlo operate in a monopolistic competitive market. They differentiate through design, pricing, and store experience. So, the next time you encounter a business operating in a monopolistic competitive market, or if you're just curious to identify whether a company fits this model, I think you already have the tools and enough knowledge to recognize it. And remember, we all play unique roles in our economy. As consumers, taking the time to research products help us make informed choices that reflect our values and needs. And as future entrepreneurs, understanding different market structures prepares us to enter and thrive no matter where we choose to compete. And that wraps up our topic about monopolistic competition. Again, I'm Vivea. I hope you've learned a lot and had fun as well. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more episodes.